Welcome to the Elite Performance Team Podcast. Dominic Perlo and Dr. Jan Kasperitz produce podcasts weekly with information on health and wellness, as well as special guests. If this is your first time listening, thanks for listening. If you like our content, you can find more information on Facebook or subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes. Start with a quote of the day. Don't expect results from the work you didn't do. Doc, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, it's the truth though. You got to put the work in to see some results. You know, you can't read a book. You can't get some other person's experience or opinion on what you're going to be doing. You literally have to go through the motions and actually do it. What are your thoughts?
New York City Marathon just passed. It was last weekend, and I see that. I see a lot with specifically with long distance training where people don't put the work in, and then their results are terrible.
Sure, like running like a 6-hour, 30-minute New York City Marathon.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what I've come across is if you want to run a marathon, you need to do marathon training. I've noticed that there's, I like CrossFit. I think it's fantastic. I love the idea that people get engaged with what they're doing. But the thing is, when you're trying to run a marathon, you really need to do run training. Although they do have like an endurance portion, which can help with some things, it's not marathon training. Especially if you have some kind of like background in running, maybe you can get away with it. But if you don't have that background knowledge and the mindset, how am I supposed to feel at like mile 24? Running a marathon is tough.
Without a doubt. And maybe the CrossFit workouts, those endurance ones you're talking about, maybe they would sort of go side by side, but you better be doing the marathon training as well. And then maybe those, I like to call them accessory workouts, but don't think for a minute that's going to get you through a marathon.
Sure, you gotta do strict marathon training as well.
Absolutely. So today's podcast is all about the FMS screen, which stands for Functional Movement Screen. This is created by a gentleman named Greg Cook. We use this a lot in our office, and this podcast is literally going to be all about that. So there's 7 functional movement screens, 7 FMS tests or screens. Number 1 is the deep squat. 2 is the hurdle step. Number 3 is the inline lunge. Number 4, shoulder mobility. Number 5, the straight leg raise. 6 is trunk stability. I might know better as a push-up. And then rotary stability, which kind of looks like bird dog. Think about those exercises. So who should get an FMS screen, Doc?
I think everybody needs an FMS screen. Movement is so important in our society, and especially with these days, everybody's sitting on their butt so much. It's just the world we live in. People are sitting down in front of computers for long periods of time. They're not getting out enough, and then when they do get out, they try to exercise and they get injured pretty quick. So, ideally, we try to get our patients and clients to do FMS screen right in the beginning. Now, if they're coming in with pain, we do not do an FMS screen. You don't do an FMS screen if you have some medical condition. And if you're in pain with any kind of movement, that is a medical condition. You shouldn't be doing a movement assessment because it's just not going to be truth. You're going to be compensating for your pain. But if you're a runner, you're a cyclist, CrossFit athlete, if you're just lifting weights, if you want to just get through the day, you should be doing functional movement screens. It's a very objective tool because it's just picking out 7 movement patterns, and then with those 7 movement patterns, we're going to be able to see where you're having your issues, and we can fix those movement patterns in conjunction with the training that you're doing for this year's specific event as well.
I feel that people that are doing endurance sports, absolutely 1000%, they need to be doing it.
Sure. Because
they're more linear. Let's stick with running for a second here with marathon. You're running linear, and this FMS screen measures you in multiple ways, not just in the linear plane. Does that make sense?
Totally. Because a perfect example is if you're doing a marathon, and if you're doing cycling, you're literally in this one plane the entire time. And that's not just that your competition, that's also the training you're doing. So you're not getting any of this lateral movement whatsoever. And you could really pick that up quick off the rotary stability test. Because everybody could do well when you're doing left arm, right leg, but when you're having to do ipsilateral stability, which is when you extend your left arm and your left leg, the other side of your body has to create so much stability that you can actually go through that movement. And we're gonna actually attach all the tests, the 7 different tests to this podcast as well, to the video portion. But it's hugely important, especially for injury prevention, because when you're running, momentarily, you are literally on that ground with just one leg. So you better have really good stability in all planes, not just this one plane that you're actually training in.
And equal, right?
Sure,
You shouldn't be able to balance longer on one leg than the other.
Oh,
they
absolutely.
should totally be equal. And people who do repetitive movements, right? So whatever, your swimmers, your runners, your cyclists, but people that are constantly doing repetitive movements should really, really get a functional movement screen.
Yeah, but you know what it is? It's just like a car. If you have your alignment slightly off, then you're constantly going through that movement, which is the wheels spinning, and the alignment slightly off, it's going to start wearing down joints,
Exactly.
and then you're going to have your medical condition. Instead of just picking up where you have that weakness, fixing that weakness so this way your movement patterns are good. It's not that you're going to totally avoid any injury, but there's a very good likelihood that your chances of sustaining a repetitive injury from overuse because of poor biomechanics is going to be greatly reduced.
Absolutely. And also, you'll pick up these things that could help. You might be compensating,
Sure.
right? If you're running and you have your left side's weaker than your, whatever the case is, you might start to compensate, and this picks that up.
Yeah, it does. And I'll give you a good example. I was approached by a Division I school out west if I could do a functional movement screen on a local athlete over here, very big kid. He was like 6'2", about 300 pounds. He was a junior going into his senior year, and the coach from the school contacted me and asked me if I could do a functional movement screen on him. I'm like, sure. And then what they wanted to do, instead of spending their time coming out here and trying to see if he's a really good athlete, or they just want to know, is he just so big and stronger than everybody that he's just throwing everybody around, or does he functionally have good movement? So we did a functional movement screen, and he passed it. He kicked butt. He got, basically he aced the functional movement screen. He didn't think so, but he could. He was a little awkward, but his stability was tremendous. So not only was this kid really big and strong, his functional strength was really there too. He had really good core strength, so that means now when he goes into that next level and plays, and he did play Division I football as an offensive lineman, that they don't have to teach him all these movement mechanics. He has that. Now they just have to show him and teach him certain skill sets. So it's one thing to be able to throw people around or be very good at your sport, but another thing is to have really good core stability, not get injured, and this way just continue building up on your craft without having to worry about injuries or lack of mobility.
That's a big kid to do perfect on a.
Yeah, he did really, really good. Yep.
It's impressive. So just to reiterate, when should you not do an FMS screen?
Definitely not when you're in pain. That's pretty much the only contraindications to not doing an FMS screen. If you're in pain, see your chiropractor, your physical therapist, your acupuncturist, your massage therapist, resolve your medical condition. Once you're out of pain, then you're clear to do an FMS screen.
It makes total sense. So once the screen's complete, what are the steps?
The screen's complete. We've both been doing screens with a lot of our clients and patients. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead, see where you're having the most amount of issues, and see which is the lowest hanging fruit. What thing can we fix that's going to probably clear out a lot of these movement issues? I find that's usually a rotary stability issue. So we're focused on that. We'll have you come into the office, we'll teach you how to do the exercise. We'll also send you a video of the exercise as well. And then once you start doing the initial exercise, the level 1 exercise, there's a level 2 exercise, there's also a level 3 exercise. About 3-4 weeks later, as long as you've been doing these correctives, we'll redo the FMS screen. So this way we want to see improvement, because it's not just about finding faults, it's about finding the fault, improving and correcting the fault, and then retesting from an objective standpoint, which is utilizing these 7 tests. And it's very easy. We're grading 0, couldn't do the test due to pain, a 1, a 2, or a 3. So it's either you did it well, you couldn't do it due to some mistake, or you couldn't do the movement at all. So then we just grade it very objectively. It's not like 1 to 10 where there's a lot of room for a lot of gray area. It's pretty much black and white.
Right, exactly. And once that's all done, that's when people should then consider a speed program,
Sure.
or trying to get more power, or build ridiculous amounts of strength.
Well, let me ask you a question. What's your opinion about, what do you get first, the gait analysis or FMS screen?
Oh, gait analysis is dead last.
And why would you do the FMS screen?
So I would do the FMS screen because if I have some sort of imbalance, or I'm weaker here or there, what good is the gait analysis if I'm simply what if my gait analysis is off because I'm compensating because I have a tight, I don't know, hip or a tight hamstring on my left side, and now I'm not getting full extension.
Sure.
Well, then it's a waste of time, that gait analysis.
Sure.
So I would first the FMS screen to fix my issues, and then start considering, make sure my shoes are good, and then start considering gait analysis if I haven't become a better runner by just doing those things.
Like the gait analysis is like the cool thing to do. Everybody thinks that's going to make it quicker. It will, but you want to have that foundational functional movement screen. So that's basically the thing that's going to get you the most amount of improvement. Gait analysis and correcting your gait, once you get to a really good level, not competitively against everybody, but with yourself, once you get really good, your functional movements, you're doing well, you're putting in your hill work, you're putting in your tempo runs, and this is just for running, this covers all sports. Once you get to a certain point, then you fine tune to something like gait analysis. That's by no means, that's like step G after getting your first functional movement screen, which is basically your step A.
Right. And one of the things with the functional movement screen that should not be done is you should not be, when you're trying to do corrective exercise, you should not be doing the actual movement screens. So in other words, let's say you're lacking in the inline lunge. You shouldn't actually be doing that because now you're motor learning.
Sure.
Right? So you should really be fixing that with other exercises,
Yep.
and then going back and just testing, like you said, every 3 to 4 weeks.
Yep. And that's the thing, it's all about repetitive. So once you get your corrective exercises, you need to do the corrective exercises. There's no way around it, just like our quote of the day, don't expect results from the work that you didn't do. So we're doing FMS screen on you, but if you don't go ahead and actually do the work, don't think just by doing the actual screen over and over and over again you're going to improve it. It doesn't work like that. The FMS screen will, just by practicing shoulder mobility, it's not going to increase shoulder mobility unless you do the correctives for shoulder mobility.
That quote really fits with this, doesn't it? Because I know people go to physical therapy and the physical therapist says, hey, I want you to do this, 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 and this, and they go home and they don't do it.
Yeah.
And it's totally, don't expect results. Anything else, Doc?
No, I think it's fantastic. Like I said, what we're going to do is I'm going to put this together with the video that we did of our FMS screen. And we do FMS screens here in the office. It's pretty quick. It's about 10-15 minutes at the most. And then what we'll do is we'll send you an email with your results, and then we'll have you come in and we're actually starting the corrective exercises here in the office. Definitely recommend anybody who wants better movement, injury prevention, or increased sports performance. By all means, it's the number one thing you have to start with is an FMS screen. So thank you, Greg Cook.
Next level is you want to go next level, you better be moving well.
Sure, absolutely.
Better be moving well. If you like what you hear, you can subscribe to our podcast on YouTube and iTunes, and please share it with your friends or anyone who may be interested in our content. Until next time, train your brain, train your body.